Welcome back to 843 TV. We are here now with Miss Charlie Clark. She is with the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce. How are you?
Good, good. Great to be here.
So we are here to talk about JetBlue, which is a very exciting thing. And tell us about the impact of their new service.
Well, you know, it's so great to be on the other side of JetBlue now. Now that they're coming, it's been quite a dance for quite a few years to get them here. And I think everybody's calling it the JetBlue effect. We're feeling it. If you go to buy a ticket at the counter, we look at ticket prices, like a walk-up ticket price has decreased in half. I mean, people are now getting, Delta, for example, is now flying nonstop to JFK. People are getting Delta tickets for $150 round trip. And we all know that was unheard of before. Yes. Competition is a good thing. So even if you, quite frankly, never set foot on a JetBlue plane that's headed to JFK or to Logan, you're going to benefit from them being in the low country.
While we have the JetBlue effect, I can't say that, how many travelers can we be heading through Savannah our way, Charlie?
Well, you know, New York and Boston are two of our top markets, big markets for us, and there's 11 million people a year that go through the T5 terminal at JFK, and there's a little bit of pent-up demand. That direct flight coming into Hilton Head and the Savannah airport is going to be pretty phenomenal. And you know, already almost half of the people, 48% of folks coming through the Savannah Hilton Head Airport are headed our way. There's a reason we call it that, is because we get such a lion's share of those people coming through. So we expect it to boost travel from those areas and to build awareness as well for the destination from those areas.
And you were talking about earlier, before we started taping, about how this is not an overnight process, that this has been months, years in advance. I mean, can you share with us like how long it's been, or I mean?
Yeah, it does take years, as Steve was alluding to earlier. It's a dance that it takes longer. People think these things just happen, or you call up the airline, they say it's a great thing. It really takes a long time to make it happen. Airlines usually don't go anywhere where they're not going to make money. So it becomes a numbers game, and it's a courting process almost. You kind of convince the airline why you're the place to be, and they look at the numbers and see, and they've had great success in other areas of South Carolina too, which I think helped. And it's always in the pipeline. It's always a recruiting process that the Savannah Hilton Head Airport is doing, whether it's JetBlue or looking at Canadian airlines, visiting with some Canadian airlines. We get such a large influx from Canada as our #1 foreign market. So I know that's hot on the radar screen right now too for them.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, certainly JetBlue's been in the news a lot lately, but we've also gotten a lot of national attention too. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, you know, I think sometimes people who live here don't get an opportunity to see it all when it's coming in, but this is really a time of year when, you know, we all know the Northeast really wants to defrost right about now. And this is a lot of times where publications and major websites are doing their lists. They do those lists of top places, and Hilton Head was just noted by TripAdvisor as one of the top islands, top 10 islands, and also as well as by Photos as one of the hottest top 15 destinations in the country this year.
Wow.
And the neat thing about TripAdvisor too, we all know that's a very trusted voice in travel. Those are not the editors making those decisions. Those are the readers and watchers and online
real
people making those decisions, and so that's a really big accolade. So you'll see Hilton Head Island coming up time and time again this time of year on lists as best place for spring break travel, that type of thing, and it's important to be on those lists.
I kind of have a two-part question here. I think I've asked you this before, but I always find that curious. When things like that come out, you know, how long does it take to actually materialize into visitors? And the bigger question is, what else does that do for us as a destination? Well,
that's another thing that's sort of in the pipeline along the lines of what you do for an airline to court an airline. You're doing the same thing. We work every single day with media, websites in New York, visiting editors, talking to them, explaining why the Hilton Head Renaissance and what's happening here is a really important story. So it's something you're just constantly working on, because you may visit with an editor and not see that story until another year or 2 years later. And obviously surrounding the JetBlue launch, we did a lot with media, had media events in New York, and got some great coverage out of Condé Nast Traveler and some others. These are the resources that travelers are reading. They're looking, it's a third-party endorsement, and you really can't put a value on that. You know, it's somebody else saying you're fantastic versus just you saying you're fantastic. So it's a great thing.
And then also, I know it takes a while to get it to that point where they're going to publish your destination, but will people come this summer off of that, or will it take time for that to materialize as well? Or when somebody reads that article, when do they actually book their trip?
You know, I think a lot of viewers probably think, oh, people just come. They just come. They've been coming for years. And we really study the cycle of how travelers decide where they're going. Sometimes it takes 3 to 6 months. We take a look at research on how long it takes them to make a decision. Once they make that decision, what are they reading? What are they watching on TV? What are their habits? What are they doing? So yeah, it's an influencer, and especially with Facebook Facebook and social media now, it can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months. It could take 2 years. But people are really listening to those resources, especially social media. That's today's word of mouth.
Right.
You know, it used to be you saw your family at the family reunion, you told them what a great vacation you'd had, and people are still doing that. But it just happens to be that people trust their friends and family to decide, help them decide where to go. And those beautiful pictures of Hilton Head on so many Facebook pages don't hurt either.
Yeah.
Well, I was excited, not technically being a Hilton Header. Bluffton even made it on one of those articles the other day. It was talking about, I don't remember specifically which plantation it was talking about, but that was on there too, kind of as an added bonus to coming and visiting Hilton Head, that, Bluffton was just as much of an asset, which I thought was huge.
Yeah, it's a great, a lot of people discover Bluffton when they're coming to Hilton Head Island as a destination. Again, we're the DMO for Bluffton as well, so we actively work to get media upcoming here. I think everybody's going to be very excited in Bluffton that Family Circle magazine, which has a circulation of about 4 million people, is doing a 6-page spread on Bluffton. They came out last year, and that again is being in the pipeline, meeting with those editors. So when they're looking for that next story, they pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm looking for a family who is really into food, multi-generational. What do you have? Do you have anything that fits the bill? And it's our job to then say, boy, do we have something that fits the bill.
Well, and just the effect of the articles too, I was laughing because we had a Better Homes and Gardens, maybe, forgive me if that's not the right one, and it was still in the salon, and I just happened to be buzzing through it, and I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, there's Charlie. And it was that article that they did in Palmetto Bluff, and that was from what, 2000?
A couple of years ago, yeah.
So it's just proof that, media and articles really do, the stuff stays around.
Yeah, and when you do that, you'll see the effect when people are picking up the phone and calling hotels and home and villa companies and booking their trip.
Awesome.
All a good sign.
Yeah.
Growth is always a good thing. Well, make sure that you come back for more 843 TV.